Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Gould. As always, I'm here with Adam Winters, the old man himself, and we're going to review a lost gem today, a lost coin, you might say, a gold coin in the history of mankind that will never be seen in America officially.
That's bizarre. So we're talking about Super Mario Brothers. Subtitle something.
The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach! Exclamation point. In the Japanese, it would resemble Peachheim Kaishutsu Dai Sakusen! Exclamation point.
Works for me.
From 1986. It was released to limited run in theaters on July 20th, 1986. And it was never actually for sale, but they did have it for rental in Japan for a while on VHS. And that is the extent of everything.
That's a crime, actually.
Yeah. Handful of copies, known to exist. You can get, I think there's an LP that came out that they only made like 50 copies of. I don't really even understand that. I can't wrap my mind around that. How would it be profitable to make 50 of something?
We talking about a vinyl record for the soundtrack?
Yeah, the soundtrack. It released in rental in Japan, and it got a soundtrack released.
Like Dr. Otto, right?
I don't think he had a soundtrack, though, did he?
Oh, no, he didn't.
There may have been 50 copies of Dr. Otto produced.
Japan is just different. Just different. And this is a very take that is both familiar and foreign on the Super Mario Brothers franchise.
Yeah, there's a lot here, and there's a lot here that's stolen, or I don't know if that's the right word. I'm not sure who came up with some of these ideas, but they were taken later on in a lot of video games over a 20, 30-year span. But I will say up front, I think this is my favorite Mario movie. It's really good, I think, in a Japanese anime kind of way. And I like it. It's quirky in all the good ways.
Yeah, I got a lot of Super Show vibes off of this, even though this is more of a dedicated story, whereas the Super Show from Deke was mostly about parodies of something with Mario characters in them. But my favorite Mario show of that era is probably the one that was based on Super Mario Brothers 3, simply because it still did the weird stuff that could be parody or guest stars, but it was trying to be more of an adaptation of the game, and the Mario World show just goes a little bit off the rails for me with introducing characters that are often get more of the focus than the main cast.
Yeah. I mean, I should say Lou Albano is still my favorite Mario.
Oh, yeah.
I wish that it had a live-action made-for-TV movie, if nothing else.
This would have sold a lot if somebody in America, Deke or whoever, had licensed it for a dubbing. Would have made a lot of money in '89.
It would have made a lot of money. I don't know if I could handle a dubbing, though. The Japanese voices work. I understand that kids don't read subtitles. I get it.
They're more natural. Yeah.
And I loved our squeaky child like Princess Peach and the sound effects of the rest of them. But this was good stuff, man. Good stuff. So it's only an hour long. You can find a 4K upgraded version of this on YouTube. Not taken down yet. I assume it's going to stay for a while.
How is it possible it's still up with all Nintendo's legal army?
It tells me that they're not intending to do anything with it. I think the day it comes down, you might find some kind of weird release come out.
But again, YouTube doesn't care about that sort of stuff. So, I mean, it's on Internet Archive, which is a little bit different. It's on YouTube.
So there's not a lot of articles about this movie. I really don't think most people know that it exists. I did not know it existed until we were doing research on video game movies, just to be clear. So I don't think most people know it exists. I think the 4K version that I watched, and I think it was uploaded by the guy who made it, had about 300,000 or 400,000 views.
Huh. That's fairly low. I mean, for something like this.
I would guess about 500,000 people know about this movie, and they're probably 40 and up.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but yeah, it's
Is it made for the 80s child, or can the modern Mario fanatic appreciate this?
I don't know. That's a good question. I told my youngest about it. He's 11. I think he'll check it out. I may make my older two watch it. They weren't raised on Mario, so they're not Mario fans like I'm a Mario fan, or even you.
They grew up with Mario Galaxy, didn't they? Stuff like that.
This is made for the OG fans, so to speak. I don't know if you only had 3D Mario that you could understand and appreciate this movie.
Another vibe this movie gives me, the original Legend of Zelda somehow, with the old wizard and the trekking across the wasteland, finding the magic items.
No, it's so weird. It's in such a good way. And it had a vibe of Legend of Zelda. I thought the art style had a lot of Voltron in it, even though it wasn't robots and stuff like that. Just the way they
Okay.
drew the lines, the animation itself, it had that 80s anime style going on.
I like that 80s anime style. It's great.
I do too. And I've been watching some animated stuff. So I watched the new Spider-Man show on Disney Plus, and I watched some of the Commando, the DC show on Max.
Creature
And it
Commando,
was,
right?
yeah, Creature Commando. And like I don't like modern animation. I like some of it, don't get me wrong. And it's clean, but it just
It's too clean in a lot of ways.
it's too clean. I miss hand drawn. I want some hand drawn stuff. If you can't hand draw it, make your animation so good it looks hand drawn.
Another quality, there's a stiffness in a lot of anime, especially stuff coming out of Warner Brothers these days.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
There's something of a flatness to the faces that a lot of characters have, and yeah, it's a style that's odd to me too.
It's like an animated version of Ang Lee's Hulk. It's just
Ooh.
not up to snuff, and I don't know if it can be. And I like quirky animation, like the Spider-Verse stuff. I like the turtle stuff in the movie where the scratchy kind of look. I think it works. I wouldn't want all of it to look like that.
No.
But I don't know. It's everything's trying to be cell shaded Nintendo, but it ain't coming across as good as it could. And and it takes forever to come out. I mean, it takes like a whole year and a half to get eight 25-minute episodes or something. It's like you used to produce like 45 episodes a year. It's like, come on. That's my animation rant.
This movie has a good sense of what it is, even as being offbeat as it is, it knows what kind of humor it's going for and tone and all that.
Yeah. Now, I have no idea if this movie was successful. I couldn't find anything about box office or what it cost or anything like that. But it was part of a double feature in theaters. After this, you got a walkthrough, I believe, of Super Mario 2: The Lost Levels. It was like a movie play guide, so to speak.
Well, I need to look into that then. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was released. Basically, it coincided with the Japanese Super Mario 2: The Lost Levels coming out, which makes sense.
Okay.
And I guess you could say it's a loose adaptation of Mario 1 in some quirky kind of way.
Yeah, Super Mario.
Yeah, Super Mario 1. I wouldn't exactly call it that, but it's trying to be. I believe they did read the American instruction manual, as some of the things in there appear, as apparently Bowser has transported.
He's King Koopa in this movie. Am I right?
He is King Koopa.
He's King King of the Koopas. Koopa.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they called his title, but he was overall the Koopas.
Yeah, he is the Koopa King.
And he turned all the Mushroom Kingdom into bricks, horsetails, and other things.
Indeed. Coins, apparently. Yeah.
Coins wasn't mentioned, but yeah. There are some continuity issues in the movie and some things that don't make sense.
Well, it's a fever dream.
It's got a little Mario 2 in it. Ironically.
It does.
No, and it's not Doki Doki Panic, but there is a lot of Yoki Yoki in the soundtrack.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I wasn't quite sure on the pronunciation of that.
So the music in this movie is very 80s anime as well. Limited, making sense, quirky little beats. And there are certain adult themes in this movie.
Mario wants romance? What are we talking about?
Mario, yeah, Mario is in love with Peach as soon as he sees her on the screen. So his whole movie is him not just rescuing the princess, but wanting to win the love of the princess.
He's pining.
At the end.
You know, Koopa, I think, is genuine in his affections and his attraction. It's not. Is it stated, to your recollection, what are the negative consequences of him marrying Peach, aside from that's sort of a bad deal for her?
I mean, that's a pretty awkward situation.
But like, does he want broader world domination? Because I also feel like everybody's on the same planet here.
No, I think you get Jack Black vibes here. He wants his Peaches, his sweetie.
All right.
To love him.
He's just a lonely old Koopa.
Yeah, I think it's a genuine love. He's just got an anger problem. So when he gets rejected, he trashes Mushroom Kingdom.
You could argue he's a toxic fella, but, you know.
And I guess you could say he's a bit of a sorcerer, too. It insinuated that it's not that he's destroyed the Mushroom Kingdom, but he cast a spell. So they're holding on to that from the manual as well.
Yeah, he's turned various people into things. So there you go.
Including himself in this movie.
Oh, yeah. It's odd the games don't dive into that anymore. Just Koopa's inherent magic that would even allow him to be a shapeshifter.
No, I don't even know if they held on to that in Mario 3. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't call any of that in there. Other his children seem to have some sorcerer powers,
But
or
they all
his
have wands that they
nephews or whatever.
stole. They stole those wands from the kings. So it's not an inherent power.
No, you're right. You're right. So I don't know. I'd have to go check on that. As far as I remember, I'll include the lost levels just because it is continuity in a lot of ways. But the first Mario game and the first sequel for Japan, I think, is the only games where he's a sorcerer.
And even that would bode into the castles when you defeat any Bowser before the very last Bowser. If you do it with fireballs, they turn into, or they reveal that they were just a regular enemy who was made to appear like King Koopa. And even in Lost Levels, you have a fake Koopa, which I forget his canon name, but it was in the manual of like almost like Bowser's brother.
Wowzer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So the movie opens with Mario playing a Famicom system,
Yes.
and not a game I recognize, and a little American boy running to the left of the screen with a bat, a baseball glove, and a hat, and basically trying to dodge random objects as he runs
Feels
through the
like it's
city.
trying to be Wonder Boy from Sega.
Which is, I mean, it's not like we didn't have a bunch of Nintendo games. I'm surprised that he's not playing like Legend of Zelda or something.
Yeah, that would have
I
fit
mean,
in this.
free advertising.
Although in Japan, when Legend of Zelda came out, you had to have the disc system to play it. So Mario does not own a disc system. He only owns the basic Famicom unit.
All right, fair enough, but he could have been
Mm.
another game. But
Mm-hmm.
and Mario looks over caffeinated. He's sitting way too close to the TV. His
Well,
mother would not approve.
that's because those controller cords are 3 feet long, right? On that Famicom unit.
I think the NES Classic had 3-foot cords. I don't know about the.
No,
I think
no,
the original had 6 foot.
I own a Famicom. You attach it from the side and the back of the unit, and that cord is not. So it was expected all Japanese children are going to be sitting close to the TV.
You know, I guess that's right. I wasn't thinking about the Famicom as opposed to the US system, but he's sitting way too close for his eyes.
It ain't good for him.
No, and he looks over caffeinated. Luigi, though, he's the sensible one. He comes into his nightcap and his uncaffeinated tea, offering some to Mario. Mario ignores him, so he goes back to bed.
This is a portrayal of Luigi that I don't think has been seen before or after.
No, I'm intrigued by the color palette. I was trying to remember if it was something that may have come from Wrecking Crew or something like that.
I was also thinking Wrecking Crew, the player 2 on that, but it's bizarre to me they wouldn't put any green in his color palette.
No, so Luigi, not in this scene, he's wearing pajamas there, but later on for the rest of the movie, he's wearing a blue hat and overalls, and he's got a yellow shirt palette. And Mario has the classic at the time red overalls and a blue shirt.
I like those red overalls.
Did that switch Mario 3? Is that when that officially changed?
Hold on now.
Or Mario 2 even?
I'm Mario 2. The USA version is funny because on the box art, red overalls, but in the game, I think he's wearing blue, and Luigi too.
Yeah, I think you're right. Once the sprite got a little bigger, I think they've able to make it look right. So, anyways, that's the color palettes. Otherwise, they look like modern day Mario and Luigi. Luigi is taller. The difference is Mario's proportions are just a little bit more like a normal person.
He's thin compared to a lot of his, even the Deke portrayals. He does not have that big old pot belly.
So, anyways, he's playing the game. The screen changes, and then Peach is shown on the screen, and she's running away from a whole bunch of different kind of Super Mario enemies. And somehow she transports or falls out of the television.
That's what a lot of gamers fantasize about.
Now she tells Mario that she's Princess Peach and that she needs him to protect her. She knows his name. That is not really explained.
Fever dream.
Possibly lost in translation.
It's all a setup.
Yeah. And then Bowser appears on the screen also. And then all the enemies fall out of the screen. That may have happened first, actually.
No, she comes first. Then the turtle shells and everything after Peach.
Yeah. But at the end of it, Bowser emerges. They have a really short confrontation. He knocks Mario through a hole in the floor.
I like Mario being a little bit cowardly here. There is one point where he's standing at Peach runs behind him, and then he runs behind Peach.
He's got a brave, not brave, like Barney Fife kind of thing going.
He wants to
he wants
right
to be
thing,
brave. But once he gets there, he's like, what did I just do?
I mean, the way he looks at it, she probably has more knowledge about this thing than he does anyway.
Yeah.
What do I just have in my house here?
So Bowser takes Peach and goes back through the television set, and then we get the game over. And this is where I noticed that the movie really uses a lot of sound effects and the music from Super Mario Brothers 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it holds up well. Like it does.
It works.
I don't even think they enhance it. I think it's straight up NES. So then Luigi comes back in the room because of all the commotion. Mario explains what happened. Luigi says, "You're dreaming. Go finish your dream. Go back to bed, or go to bed." And Mario starts to think maybe that's true. Maybe he fell asleep playing the game. But he notices a small emerald pendant on the floor, and therefore he knows that it was real. Doesn't know what to do about it, but it was real.
Then the next day, it's back to the grocery store, right?
Yeah, so they work in a grocery store, convenience store, dollar store kind of setup.
They also call it the shop. Yeah, the shop in some of the subtitles I saw.
Okay. Yeah, and it seems to have grocery stuff and also a bunch of cleaning supplies and random knickknacks. So it's almost like you got a grocery store and an antique store mixed together. But Mario's daydreaming over on the side. Customer comes in asking for stuff to make a cake, I believe it was, and he gives her, I think, a broom and a scrub brush and some bleach or something like that. I don't know.
Some
So
work
he's not paying
boots.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this old lady ain't very happy with him. And then Luigi notices that Mario's holding that pendant. And I should say in this movie, Luigi, he would make a great bank miser in this movie.
Oh yeah, he is Mr. Who's the guy from Mary Poppins? Mr. Tuppence or
I don't know. He's got a Scrooge vibe, a friendly Scrooge, but a Scrooge vibe nonetheless. He's Uncle Scrooge from DuckTales. That's a good way of saying it.
He's a treasure hunter. He's pretty good at
So
it.
yeah, so he recognizes the gem, and apparently there was some kind of toad legend, which we hear more about that later. And he has his book, and he looks and he finds it, and apparently this pendant is attached to the Mushroom Kingdom, which was also it's the land of riches, I guess.
I guess it's just down the other side of the continent, something like that.
Yeah. So they want to seek the kingdom. Mario calls directory assistance, who says they'll send for him. I don't know if that's tied to what happens or not. It was kind of confusing to me. But you get this blue dog. What are those animals, or what are those creatures in the games? The wigglers. It's like a dog wiggler.
Oh yeah, the Wigglers. That's in the Mario world is what it really reminded me of, but it's not Wiggler. It's called like Django Unchained or something, isn't it? The doggy.
Yeah, I'll probably call him Waggler.
Waggler. That's good. I like Waggler there.
But he comes into the store and he jumps on Mario and takes the gem and runs away. And they take chase, and there's a big area full of pipes, and Mario chases a dog into one of them, and then the other pipes disappear, and Luigi kind of falls in looking through it. But they get warped. So you get I think this is the only warp pipe in the movie.
Yeah.
Kind of an underutilized element. So this movie, they travel a lot, but their method of travel is strictly by foot. They ain't piping around. So, and they're in this cave, and they're greeted by what my notes say is Kanoko Senin. This, you say man, I think that's a bit of a strong word, but he's got this big white rope or a robe and beard thing going on.
He's a white wizard. Yeah, very hairy.
And I can't connect him to any Mario character I've ever seen. Maybe you can.
It's more of a Legend of Zelda trope to me, whatever this guy is. Aside from no red robe, he's all white. I don't even know if it's a robe. I think it might be all hair growing off of him.
I don't know. But he says he's the one who called him there, and that's when he tells them what we talked about earlier, that King Bowser of the Turtles has conquered the Mushroom Kingdom because the princess rejected his marriage proposal. He turned everyone into bricks and horsetails and things like that. But Peach, she always believed in the legend of a kind-hearted, fortune-seeking, funny-faced, mustachioed man who liked treasure.
Luigi.
Yeah. And I guess actually twin brothers in caps and overalls would come help her from the east.
Oddly specific legend.
Yes, and that she had sought Mario when she was kidnapped by Bowser. I don't know how that works coming through a television screen. That must have been a long warp pipe, but...
Yeah. Well, it's we used to call them the CRT TVs. They were cathode ray tubes.
That's true. And Bowser's now going to marry her on Friday the 13th.
I forgot about that detail.
That's new. I don't think ever explored in a Mario game again.
It's part Nightmare on Elm Street with the dreams, and it's part Friday the 13th. Huh. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So Mario gets upset, dresses up like a Mexican bandit to show off his rage.
Very Mario Odyssey there with his costume changes.
Yeah. He's like the one character that can still get away with all that stuff. He was pretty animated there. And then he vows to defeat Bowser, rescue his girl that he loves or thinks he loves. And the wise guy tells Mario he has to go directly east, but while he's on his way, he needs to pick up 3 magical power-ups, which Bowser's minions had scattered throughout the kingdom. And they are the classic 3 from the first Mario game. Mushroom, Flower, and Star. No Tanuki suits.
Does he say how they will help him defeat Koopa?
I don't think so.
You got to get him, I guess, and good luck to you.
Yeah. So Mario goes on ahead, Luigi follows Raptor, making sure he gets a reward, which is basically he can collect all the gold coins he wants. So that's a little tricky, as we see with these coins later. They aren't like straight up coins. So I feel like this the wise guy is trying to get rid of some of the population of his kingdom.
Maybe. And we can tell that the Waggler is in cahoots with the furry wizard.
Yes. So he sends the Waggler to go accompany the brothers and help guide them, and then the wise guy just kind of disappears. So
yeah, till the end of the movie, I think.
So they're walking through. They're spotted by two Goombas who are very mushroom-esque in this movie.
They have hands, I think.
They have hands and they have bodies. It's not like a lot of times with the Goombas, you have the big head, and you basically just have like two little feet sticking out a lot of times.
Yeah.
I think they've lost a lot of their midsection over the years.
Yeah. You're right about that too, probably.
So it makes you wonder if they were originally toads, and instead of being turned into bricks, they got turned into Goombas.
Seems like I read some manual about that.
Yeah. So they get hungry, but they end up taking a rest stop. Mario goes to sleep. Luigi's too hungry to rest, and he's thinking of all these foods he wants to eat, and he notices Mario's dreaming about these foods. So he kind of throws a little hissy fit. But then two Goombas arrive, and they lead Luigi to a valley of mushrooms.
Watch out for that.
Yeah. And this, we might have a reference to the poison mushroom in Lost Levels here.
I thought about that.
And I was trying to remember if they had originally intended to include a poison-esque mushroom in the first game, and I can't remember.
Probably. They were hoping to add Yoshi to the first game.
That's nuts.
And they were hoping to add cloud riding which will come up later. But that didn't happen until what? Mario Maker?
Clouds was Super Mario World, I think.
No, you couldn't ride in them, though, could you?
I thought you could. Unclear. But they see these mushrooms, and some of them make you laugh, some of them make you cry, some of them make you mad. And they have a funny little scene. It really just introduces the idea of mushrooms doing things to you, though.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, a giant paratroopa picks up Mario and takes him to her nest, or a nest. And then he throws mushrooms at the little babies so that they don't eat him. But then the paratrooper returns with Luigi and Waggler. So Mario pretends to, or he didn't pretend, he bites Luigi and says, "Oh, it tastes bad. We don't want to eat that," as he has infiltrated the flock and is an undercover bird with no costume.
Not what I expected in a movie like this, but I can roll with it.
So I also noticed the babies here seem to be actual birds, not turtles with wings.
Yeah. It makes you think the mother paratrooper doesn't quite understand, or maybe she adopted the little birds.
Maybe it ate the mom bird.
Okay, yeah, that's fair too.
So then Mario looks up and he sees a mushroom frozen in a block of ice on this mountain. Unclear why it's frozen. They really didn't need to do that.
It's high up.
No ice on the mountain though.
Well,
so he climbs up there and he grabs that block and it uncovers. Apparently, it was clogging a spot, and because this starts shooting out coins.
Oh yeah.
And Luigi's catching the coins with his hat. Mario stumbles all the way down. Luigi and the Waggler grab onto him. The birds try to help unsuccessfully, and they land in the field below. And they do not break their necks. And then the coins, these magical coins, all transform into tall mushroom people, not the little ones we saw earlier.
Big eyelashes.
And we find out that Toad is really Peach's maid, his right hand, or her right hand woman.
Mushroom retainer.
Yeah, so did you think, if anybody thought all the Toads were male for a long time, nope, they were female first.
I think they're all, well, what's the word? What we call Godzilla? Asexual.
Asexual?
There's something I don't even want to know about Toad reproductive.
Well, it got me thinking about we had talked about Birdo a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And how he ended up being gender confused. And we were questioning whether or not he was supposed to be gender confused or if the people writing the manual just kind of went off the rails and had some fun. And it did remind me a little bit of that. This may be the only time where basically all the Toads are females.
I think the idea was probably they wanted to make them childlike, and they just went
pink and
a very
purple
specific route with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they do look childlike for most of them. I think the real the big Toads seems to be a little bit taller than the rest. I don't know. They could have added more colors.
They could have.
And I'm trying to remember in Mario 1, when it says your princess is in another castle, Toad was pink, wasn't he?
More of a red.
Like a red pink.
I don't remember a specific pink being intended in the game, because even Peach was red and white and a little bit orange for skin tone. I think they did a whole lot of that with the palette. White, red,
All
maybe
right.
a little bit orange. People argue he's flipping you off with his hand positions. Yeah.
So, anyways, they give Mario his first power up, the mushroom, and it is the smallest little mushroom in the whole movie.
There's nothing about that mushroom that says the super mushroom, and it's unclear if he uses it on the road to the next challenge or not.
Oh no, he does. He gets real big. It's during the
How?
song.
Just because he possesses a mushroom, it allows him to do that?
Well, he didn't eat it because he does that
No.
later.
Again, to use it, you
No,
have to eat it, but not because you can just have it.
the classic power ups, the classic powers for the mushroom and the fire flower is that Mario gets twice as tall and he can throw fireballs or spit fireballs. It was kind of unclear in the first game what he was doing, and you don't get that in the regular points of this movie. But every time he accomplishes something, they do a little song and a little montage scene. And in the montage scene that's first, I think it was a paratrooper.
No, just a
He
regular Troopa.
just a regular turtle.
Koopa Troopa. Green.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways, there's a turtle that's pretty big, and he grows to be like 5 times the size of the turtle. They don't really show what he does to the turtle, I don't think.
Just flips him off. Well, not that way. Not like Toad, but he grows so big he flips the turtle off of everybody else when the turtle was trying to trap him and crush him.
But in the next scene, you see him throwing fireballs in the little montage.
And he's throwing them against the buzzy beetles, which doesn't work in the game.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was a bit of a fail. So after that, they keep going forward. They reach a fork in the road.
Take it.
Yeah. And 2 Goombas are there on a boot. There's another allusion to a future game. And Mario asks which direction they should take. And they say he should go to the flower garden course. And then he says, that's probably a good idea. We might find a flower power-up. So they go and kind of looks like a rose garden. But we find out that all the roses are really piranha plants.
That's a good little scene. That might be my favorite in the movie.
Oh, yeah, it's good. And Mario, he fails to... Well, he uses pepper first to try to make them sneeze and not want to eat him. That didn't work. But then he's a peppery little bite, and they sneeze him out anyways. But anyways, they start running around, and ultimately the plants, they get tangled together, and they tumble down, and then you get this fun visual, but it's kind of odd, where it seems that they've gotten off of this little, this hill of piranha plants, and they all sink into the ocean, I guess.
Well, we don't have
like
an
an island.
underwater sequence, so yeah, I guess we
No,
need
but whatever it is, whether it's a mountain or a hill or an island or whatever it is, it just kind of sinks down into the floor, and it's gone. Not really clear why on that. And I would like to point out that while they're fighting the piranha plants, you get level 1-2 music from the first game.
Well, we got the underwater music in the cliff scene, and so then we get the underground theme with the piranha plants. It's a little bit odd. I give you that.
No, it's not level 4-1 music, that's for sure. After they get away from there, though, they run into a Lakitu.
Oh,
he's
gotta go give him his Japanese name.
What was his Japanese name?
Jugum. You remember?
Okay.
Do you remember in the American Mario 3 manual, even though Lakitu was an enemy, the item you could pick up was called Jugum's Cloud that allowed you to skip over a level, not having to play it.
Okay. I didn't recall that.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's overhead. He's upset that they've been teasing his plants, and he's throwing spiny eggs at him. And I think this is an allusion to later on. He waters them, and he wakes up the eggs into true big size, I guess, spinies, if it's the proper term.
Right.
But was there another game where they had to get awoken of some sort?
Well, in Mario Bros. 1, they do start out as the eggs, and they bounce around kind of very erratically. But
they're like critters.
But in the Mario Brothers 3, sometimes they just stay in egg form until they fall off the screen.
Okay. But anyways, these have to be activated, so they're not straight up Mario 1s. And somehow Mario, he kind of gets lucky. What do you call it?
Beanstalk?
Yeah, the beanstalk grows out underneath him, takes him to the sky. He's the only one. The other ones are getting tormented on the ground.
Yeah, I wondered about that. It's kind of funny.
And yeah, they all kind of like run together like a stampede. And they kind of crash into each other and temporarily knock each other out. Then Mario plays with the levers that are on his piece of cloud. Apparently he got his own set of levers.
Yeah, it's great. That works.
Yeah, scrolls through the seasons, finally gets it to snow, and they're hibernating again.
Again, that's something that's never been explored in other games so far as I know. Spinies in cold weather, do they go to sleep?
It makes sense, though. I could see it.
Yeah, but just the idea of spinies being controlled by weather and seasons, and Lakitu or Jugum being the guy who works that. That is an unexplored piece of lore. They seem to be very happy with giving him a camera and letting him officiate kart races, but they've never quite taken a deep dive into all his versatility. Little Lakitu.
Kart races seems very Western,
Mm.
but controlling the seasons and the critters seems very Eastern to me.
Yep.
But, so once the snow melts, the spinies seem to be gone. The field turns into normal flowers, and then the cloud that he stole from the Lakitu morphs into a toad. I think it's a different toad, and she gives Mario the flower power up and a kiss on the cheek.
All right.
Toad, it is canon that Mario and Toad have kissed.
Well, are we of the opinion there can only be one true toad and other just toads?
I think the first one is called capital T Toad. So I guess you could say you have capital Toad and lowercase toads, I suppose.
In the games, I'm never quite sure if the real Toad has red spots, blue spots. Definitely not the yellow spots. That's player 4 Toad right there. But the real Toad, I'm not sure if he's red or blue themed.
Apparently it's a she.
Well, Captain Toad in the games is red, but
maybe the Toad in Mario 2 American
he's
is
blue.
The son. Maybe he's the son of the female Toad.
Yeah, maybe.
And there was some kind of virus that went around where the female toads no longer were created, and all the spores created male toads.
He's red in the manual and the promotional art. He's blue in the game.
So we have a little montage music scene where he uses the fire on the Buzzy Beetle.
And he kicks away the bullet bills.
Yeah, that's a little closer to where it's supposed to be. And I can't remember if this is in the music scene or not, but they start hitting blocks and getting coins. And then Mario hits a different block and he gets a bunch of Mario ramen boxes to pop out for a commercial break.
Yeah. They have 2 different product placements besides the Famicom. I was thinking one is a pasta and one is ramen sprinkles, ramen topping.
Something like that. And these were real products released to go with the movie.
Yeah.
Again, not sure how many people bought them.
Bit too ridiculous for my take. It's like, okay.
No, I agree. So then they find a trail of gold coins leading to this mine, which they don't find to be questionable. Now, the Waggler doesn't seem too on board with it. But they get inside, and then a bunch of rocks fall and block the exit. We find out the Goombas had trapped them. It was their trick.
The reveal.
Yep. It says they shouldn't have been trespassing, which is a true thing. It's like, moral of the story, don't be stealing people's money out of their cave. And then the Goombas go off to the wedding, but they leave a Hammer Brother behind to prevent their escape.
Hammer Brothers are no joke in the first Super Mario Brothers. You don't want to mess with one.
They're harder than Bowser, especially when you got 2 of them.
They give Bowser hammers, but yeah, the double Hammer Brother, that's a tough one to get through.
So then we cut back to the castle. Peach is sad. Bowser enters. They talk about wedding dresses. Peach tries to trick him. Says he's to transform into things to make her happy. And from what my understanding is, she's using nonsense words. I can't confirm that's true because I don't know Japanese. But first, he transforms into, I think it's a Pokero is what she says, which is a weird scarecrow looking thing.
Yeah.
And then it's a whatever. I couldn't figure out pronunciation for the second thing, but he turned into some sort of bald ballerina with 3 hairs on his head.
I watched a dub where she called it a hippopotamus, and that was his take on that. Doesn't look a thing like a hippopotamus.
Okay, I think that dub was different than mine.
Yeah.
And then she tells him to transform something small and cute, so he turns into a little teddy bear, and she locks him in a box. Yep. And I don't know why she thought that would work.
It was a magic box.
Reverts back to normal and laughs at her for thinking that it would be so easy to trick him. Then he locks her in the room and leaves. Yeah, locks her up and leaves. Then we go back to Mario. He's daydreaming of dancing with Peach, almost like a wedding scene. But Luigi interrupts, says he's found a way out, and he's used his pickaxe to basically dig a hole in the floor, get to the other side of the wall.
Luigi works hard in this movie, and he works fast.
He does. Now, earlier, he had been digging at some other stuff, and had gotten a bunch of gold coins to put them in his bag. So once they get away, he opens up his bag, and he sees that somehow these coins have turned not into toads, but into rocks. I could decide if that symbolized anything. I don't think it does.
Everything's magic. It's not real.
So he didn't get to keep any of the coins. My dog is yelling. I don't know if that picked up or not, but
poor Waggler.
Yeah. So anyways, he throws the rocks into the big lake thing. But Mario sees that in the bag was also the gold star. Oh, plot twist. Can you hear my dog?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mario and wait for her to finish.
Let him finish. Let her finish. Cousin Eddie said to Clark.
A little different context. All right, we'll try. So Mario notices that the star falls in, so he jumps in after, along with Waggler. Luigi says, "I can't swim," and then Mario and the Waggler they run away from some fish, including a giant cheep.
Oh, we do have underwater. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and eventually they find the stars and a big clam.
Convenient.
Now, I think there were big clams in some of the games, right? At least Super Mario 64, but I think before Mario 3.
Mario 3. Well, hold on now. That was sort of a fire flower underwater. So the clams, I guess, are in 64.
Okay, definitely in 64. I'm going to go
Uh,
get my dog to stop.
uh,
All right, I'm back. I think we had a neighbor dog.
How about
We
clam?
find, yeah, so they got a clam, and they do a David Bowie and a ballerina routine to get the star, but he ends up getting stuck in there. But then the Waggler gets him out, and they escape, and they run away from another giant cheap, and they go to an old ship.
Oh, yeah.
And you get an illusion here, in theory, possibly, to the future ghost castles and ghost scenes. So as we see that the ship rises out of the water and it flies. So we also get an airship.
Very Little Nemo and the Dream Master.
Yeah. And they can fly this ship in the sky. And as they're going, it seems to be falling apart. So it definitely doesn't have a lot of gas. And they get to the castle. I guess they crash into the castle, don't they? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, they
now.
make an entrance, and when the Bowser has an air defense force, they try to shoot the ship down, but it just falls apart, so they're not able to do it.
And then while they're crashing the party, Bowser's trying to get married to Peach. He momentarily thinks that she's changed her mind with going along with the plan, but she's really just happy that the Mario's come to rescue her. So he takes her and the priest, and they run into a sealed room, and then Mario and Luigi take some passageways and eventually get to this room where there's a bunch of platforms. Think of the Mario 1 levels where you're jumping on the lily pads and trying not to fall into the ground. They're kind of shaped like that.
Yeah.
But it's basically a big fire pit underneath.
And the two Goombas are running the show.
Oh, yeah, the two Goombas are back. And then Luigi gets distracted, starts mining for more coins. And as he hits one wall on the side, all the water comes through, and it flushes him through like a pipe, and it floods the chamber that Mario's and the Waggler's in with the platforms, and basically removes the lava from the equation. And Luigi gets a hot spring bath. And then the castle completely starts to collapse, and basically it just kind of falls in on itself, and Peach is almost killed.
Yeah, so then we get our Mario Bowser final confrontation. Luigi's still doing his thing somewhere. He's digging underground. Dig Dug.
It's a little unclear. He was with Mario in the big water room. It was the lava room. And that's when it crashed. So they just didn't show him for a while, but was under the rubble, should have drowned for what it's worth. But, and then Mario's reminded to use the power-ups and eat them.
Luigi surfaces. He pickaxes his way up to the surface, and Peach is trying to make a deal with Koopa to spare Mario's life, even if it means marrying him, but Koopa says he can't do that because he knows Mario has the power-ups, and if he lets him live, it'll be trouble. So either Luigi or Koopa is making a point to Mario to use the power-ups before Bowser steps on him.
Yeah. Well, I think Mario eats the mushroom and the flower, but then he drops the star because he gets distracted by another advertisement.
Was that the noodle toppings?
I think so. But so the star falls back into the ground. That's when Bowser says he has to take out Mario because he has the power-ups, and it could be a problem later. And I don't think he would have done that if he hadn't already eaten the first two. So I think he had already eaten them. And then Luigi comes back up through the ground for the first or the second time, either way. And he tells Mario, hey, stop sleeping on the job. Hurry up. And then Mario tells him to put the star in his mouth. Luigi seems a little confused by that. And it never actually shows him eating the star. It just shows Bowser smashing him like Godzilla smashing Bambi. But then Mario rises up from under his foot, and it's obvious he has invincibility. So I don't know what the first two power-ups were for. And we get the ending of Nintendo 64, Super Mario 64.
Oh, yeah, he does grab him by the tail, and so long, me Bowser, or whatever you think he says in that moment. But would they have been out of luck if each brother had eaten a different power-up?
It's funny. The legend or whatever was that you had these twin mustachio brothers.
Yeah.
But it's obvious that the hero really is Mario. There was never in consideration that Luigi is the hero of this adventure.
But he doesn't get to eat the power-ups.
And so as Bowser's flying away, you see him waving a white flag.
Very Japanese way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, with the spell's broken, the light comes from the sky, and it turns everything back to the way it was before. You get a big green field. You get Princess's Castle from N64, basically. Mario gives her the pendant, and she says, "Oh, I'm so excited! Thank you, thank you, thank you!" And she kisses him on the nose, and she tells him about a different legend, one that
Yeah.
he probably would have liked to have heard this legend from the old man.
Very convenient timing.
Yeah, and apparently she is supposed to meet a wonderful prince when. Whoa,
Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Somebody trying to.
your dog's barking.
Yeah. I ain't picking that up. I thought I had muted that, but I always forget.
So she tells him the legend that she's going to meet a wonderful prince one day who will have a matching pendant and that she will marry that person. Mario's like, "What? I gotta go find myself the other half."
Yeah, he says, Luigi, we got one of those in the shop, don't we? Luigi says, nope.
And then something very unexpected happens.
Mm.
The Waggler turns into a something.
He's the prince of the flower kingdom.
Yeah.
Very-
Haru or Haru
Very
or
dainty fellow.
Harry. And this guy looks like he has light blue elderly woman hair.
Yep.
He's got a red blue man dress. He's got lavender tights. He's got white princess gloves. So needless to say, I'm sure Mario is feeling real good about himself right now. Yeah, this is a kind of a letdown, actually. Probably the worst part of the movie.
Well,
not that the Waggler turned into a prince. It's like, this is the prince? She should have just married the Waggler.
It doesn't bother me at all that Mario and Peach don't get together, because I never really felt like the games were trying to insinuate anything more than just, she gives him a kiss on the cheek and he feels good about himself. But it's a little bit odd to see her end up with that. It's like, oh man, really? This is the guy?
There is a lead. You do come across, she comes across like she's leading him on.
Oh, yeah.
So Mario's pretty sad, pretty bummed out, but he pretends that he's happy for her. And the two heroes go home.
With another little musical montage.
Yeah. And then the old man appears again, and he kind of says, I only think the brothers are still there, that the true power-up was Mario finding his courage from true love. So the old man acknowledges that he had true love, but they didn't get to use it.
True love. Yeah, he goes from a little cowardly man in his room to saving the kingdoms, multiple kingdoms.
Yeah, a lot of toads.
And they don't even give him a warp pipe home. They make him walk the whole way.
Yeah, so they travel home during the credits, and you get a little bonus scene at the end with the grocery store. Oh my gosh. Harley?
Hey, she's defending your territory.
Barking at a chihuahua.
Yeah, they deserve that.
Or a golden doodle or something.
Yeah, I like the post-credit scene. That's nice.
So anyways, they go back to the little grocery store place, and the lady who was trying to buy ingredients for the cake is back, and they don't show it, but you hear her asking for all the ingredients, and then you see the turtle people are all working as employees now.
King Koopa's really happy to serve that patron.
Yeah, looks like there's a screenshot. Looks like you got Bowser and you got 3 Troopas. I don't think they're winged ones. I think they're just regular ones.
Bowser's a good worker.
Yeah.
He has his strong points.
And then the movie says game over.
Yeah, the granny's happy this time. She does a little dance and it cuts to the finale.
So you think, is this store under new management? Do Mario and Luigi not work there anymore?
Well, he threw Bowser really far, so I guess that's one answer to the question. But it may be trying to set up future adventures when the Koopas have come to the Mario town.
Possibly. But no, it was a good movie. So I do have a list of some of the things that would appear in later games. So this is the first time Luigi looks different than his brother. This is the first sombrero worn by Mario. You get giant versions of the monsters here.
Yep.
Mario himself becomes a giant. Bigger than you would think, I should say.
New Super Mario Bros. Yeah.
Yeah. You have the Goombas sitting on a shoe. That happens in Mario 3.
Yep.
You get the floating ship, which is pretty similar to the airships in Mario 3. This was an interesting little tidbit. I didn't catch it on this one. I just saw it. Haru was turned into a dog.
Yeah, because the king was turned into a dog in Mario 3, or one of them was.
The Grassland King.
Yeah.
So I'd forgotten that those kings were turned into animals and things.
Yep.
The moon has eyes.
I missed that. I didn't catch it.
Mario hijacks the cloud, which did not happen in the first game. So yeah, it shows here in Super Mario World you could do that.
Really? Man. Okay. Yeah.
So you have the first depiction of female toads. They didn't show up until Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. That was quite a while.
Forgot about that.
The first appearance of Peach's castle. Though I guess you could argue that all the castles in Mario 1 were some Peach's castle, some Toad's castle.
Well, they were fortresses, right?
But were they fortresses or were they transformed castles?
Ooh.
That's what it was in
Fair
this movie.
enough. Fair
Sorcerer
enough.
Bowser. You get Bowser getting thrown by his tail. I already talked about that. First time you got Mario and Bowser both having romantic interest in Peach.
Yeah, probably.
You have the first potential marriage between Bowser and Peach.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we already talked about the errors that they made. We got Luigi's outfit's completely weird, and then you got the Fire Flower taking out a Buzzy Beetle.
One thing that was odd to me was the inconsistency on whether Peach has a gem in her blouse or whether it's supposed to be the pendant or not, because they changed that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be the pendant, and I think they just lost track of it in a few of the scenes.
Because she doesn't look right if she doesn't have the little blue gem.
No, it looks it looks like she's wearing the wrong dress.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much the movie. What do we? I guess we would rate this on power ups
Or ramen noodle packs.
Wagglers.
Waggler segments. I think in the movie has 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gold coins. Gold coins. We'll give it. Because 5 coins gets you 1 up, right? Or the Yoshi coins.
Yeah, they're red coins. We can go with gold coins. All right. So I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 gold coins.
I thought you were going higher. I really did.
I'm tempted. I am. I'm really tempted, actually. Fine. You pressured me into it. 5. This might be the only perfect rating I give ever. 5 out of 5 gold coins.
Okay. I'm going to give it 4. So I'm glad I talked you into going higher. My critique is that sometimes the stuff that happens in between the major sections looks more interesting to me. Whatever happens on the road, like Luigi going to the casino, the battles against the bullet bills and using the fire flower fireballs. I find that a little bit more interesting than spending a whole lot of time on Luigi's bad mushroom trip and Mama Paratrooper and the little birds. And, I like the piranha plant stuff. I like everything with Jugum. I can't complain too much about that. But there are just moments where I don't feel like the most interesting thing is what's being shown on the screen.
That's fair. I mean, I'm viewing this as a 1986 anime that I'm watching in 2025. I mean, I probably wouldn't give it 5 out of 5 when it came out first, brand new. This is a great marketing tool. What can I say? It's a shame that it didn't get a broader release at some point.
Oh, yeah.
It is really good. It's so much better than the first movie, too.
You mean Bob Hoskins?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, this is... You wish they had done one of these for every game that came out. Because Mario manga is very, very big history in Japan. It has its own continuity, but they pretty much go through all the major games and they try to connect them as one big story. And they're way more gag-based than the games. But you would wish they would have done something like this for the anime, even if it didn't go to theaters, even if it was just, let's say they shortened them to 25 minutes. Just like a TV special. Would have been really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the Legend of Zelda cartoon in America feels more like this than Super Mario Brothers Super Show did.
Yeah.
So I mean, we kind of did get this with Zelda. But
I like that
hear
show.
you.
I don't care what anybody says. I do like it.
I need to rewatch it. I really hadn't played Zelda when it first came out. I really just hadn't got to that game yet. So if you haven't played the game, the show is not quite as interesting. You just know that, hey, I'm not getting Mario today. What's up with that?
Well, you still got the live action Mario. You just didn't get cartoon Mario.
Yeah, that's true. So one other note on this movie is that the Bowser can grow and shrink as he wants. So like in the first scene, he's basically 3 Marios tall, so probably 15 feet. At the final scene, he's more like 25 feet.
Oh,
and I think he got shorter in his interaction with Peach in the castle. I think he was more like a 10 feet there. And he looks pretty much like Bowser would look through at least Super Mario World. His nose is a little more humanoid.
I like that design.
Other than that. Yeah.
I always preferred the yellow. The one thing I didn't care much for the Deke show was the King Koopa design, making him all green. And I just always thought, that's close to how he looked as a sprite in Super Mario 1. But I loved the way he looked in the Super Mario Brothers 3 manual. I said, that is a cool looking Bowser. So that's my knock on the Deke show. Even through all 3 of those shows, they kept him just the big green guy with a crown on his head.
And I understand why they did. And I don't know which one I like better. He's got more of a Wart look in those cartoons. But yeah.
Would have been good to have had Wart. I think he did get an episode. Maybe it was Captain N, but...
I think it was Captain N.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and check on that. But yeah. All right. So like I said, if you haven't checked this out, go check it out on YouTube before they take it down. Good stuff. I know of no way to get a physical copy of this. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
a way to rip it off YouTube, but I don't know how.
You
But
can download it from Internet Archive if you just wanted to do that.
okay, I may try to figure
Right.
that way out.
It's pretty open there if you just wanted to straight download it. It'd probably a large file, so get a little flash drive ready.
All right, well, that's Super Mario Brothers saving the Peach with the Superstar. What's the name of this movie?
Great mission to rescue Princess Peach.
Convoluted title. What can I say? Looking for my first page. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach! Exclamation point. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching our podcast.